Hello and welcome to another edition of An English Guy Watching Wrestling. I'm the English Guy, I'm Nick. Thank you so much for clicking on another video, I do appreciate it. And in this one, we're going to be covering the 28th 2021 edition. And that's 28th of June 2021 edition. Missed out the month, but I got it that time. So I tied myself and made a small mistake at the very start. But you know what, I'm going to keep on going regardless. 28th of June 2021 edition of AEW Dark Elevation, and it was a very good show. So that being said, drive right into it. The opening matchup was between the Gun Club and Ryan Nemeth and JD Drake, and this was a cracking tag match to open the show, to be honest with you. And I saw this one advertised, so that's going to be quite a good match, and it was. Both teams put on a very good tag team match, shall we say. And of course, there's nobody in AEW, apart from one or two other people, that knows tag team wrestling more than Billy Gunn. Perhaps the most tenured veteran in all of AEW. I think he might be, actually. I think he is, yes, in AEW, has had more tag match experience than anybody else. And of course, tagging with his son, Colton Gunn, who I actually found out is undefeated in AEW since being in AEW. He's always been in a tag match. I think he's had one or two singles matches, so it's kind of cool to see that. And I don't know if there's any other undefeated wrestlers in AEW at this point, and so if Colton's the only one, that's great, nothing wrong with that. But as I said, this was actually a good tag match. Apologies. Anyway, that was a bit of a mistake on my part. I apologise. Yeah, another one. I'm going to keep on going regardless. But no, this was a very good tag match, to be fair. And when you've got Ryan Nemeth and JD Drake, who I really like them as the wingmen, it just works. And it's just proof that you can put together unique individuals in AEW, and they just seem to make it work. And JD Drake has, I think, really found a niche in the wingman, which is unusual because of his style of wrestling, the way he does things. But he can still do those things because I really do like JD Drake, and Ryan Nemeth I really like too. So this was actually a good opening tag match. I enjoyed this one a great deal, and a right way to kick off the show, I say. And Gun Club picking up the win was the right call, I think. Even though the Wingmen did have some good offense in this match, they really did. But this was a good showing from both teams. So the Gun Club winning was the right call, like I said, but this was a good opening tag match. So definitely thumbs up to that. So there we go. And this match was Penelope Ford versus Valentina Rossi. And we haven't seen Penelope Ford for a little while, but she's back in AEW, I'm glad to say, and picking up yet another win. She won last week in AEW programming, but she won also this week. And against Valentina Rossi, I know her second appearance in AEW, but she's starting to show a little bit of promise. But it's great to see Penelope back because I think she's severely underrated. I think she's got so much potential to go much further than she can do. And now she's back in AEW. She's starting to get the ball rolling with more wins. It's going to be a good thing. And I think her winning here was the right call because I think she deserved the win. She's starting to build a momentum, so to speak. So, sooner rather than later, we're going to see more Penelope Ford get more wins than AEW, which is no bad thing. So, can't fault that. So, she picks up the win in a very unique finisher. I don't know what to call it, but it's impressive, to say the least. But that being said, she did pick up the win, so there we go. Can't fault that. So, here we go. And this match was Brian Cage versus Pensaco. And talk about an unusual matchup. I didn't know what to say about this one. And now, Pensaco, as you know, if you've seen him before, knows he's one half of Chaos Project with Luther, who did accompany him to ringside. And Luther, no other way to say it, uses Pensaco as a weapon. And whilst he was kind of not doing that to him in this matchup, he was kind of egging him on to do it, which Pensaco did, and it was quite amusing to see. But that being said, I do like Pensaco. I think he's a great wrestler, but I do like Chaos Project as well. I think they're such a good tag team. That being said, Brian Cage did win the matchup in impressive fashion, but not to say Pensaco didn't put in some good offense in this matchup. And Brian Cage, arguably, alongside Will Hobbs, and I'd say Lance Archer, because he's quite strong, perhaps the strongest man in all elite wrestling. It's a bit of a tongue twister there, but you know what I mean. But he picked up the win in impressive fashion, to be fair. And the Drill Claw did pick up the win. But it was a fun matchup. I enjoyed this one. And even though Pensaco did lose, I think, the way that, he lost his matchup was no bad thing because he did get some good offense in against someone like Brian Cage. I said Brian Cage, the Machine, as he's known, was definitely more apt description than that because he is a machine. He is insanely strong. And he proved it here. He did pick up the win of the Drill Claw. So, not saying Sir Pensaco did not put up a good showing because he did. So, thumbs up to that and definitely thumbs up to both men in this one. And this matchup was Carl Anderson making a rare singles appearance in AEW versus the debuting Wheeler Yuta. Sorry. Now, Wheeler Yuta is a guy who I've been watching for a long time, and I don't think there's anyone in professional wrestling like Willie Yuta because he's called the hybrid for a very good reason because of a style that he does that pretty much embodies everything. But when you're facing someone like Carl Anderson, one of the best in the world in terms of tag team wrestling, in terms of just great veteran wrestling, accompanied with Doc Gallows, my apologies, and the Young Bucks. There were shenanigans on Willie Yuta, unfortunately, but not saying that Willie Yuta didn't try to give everything he possibly could, and he did get some decent offense in this matchup. And I've said it before, I think Willie Yuta's really good. I think he's got such a great wrestling style, and hopefully, won't be the last time we see him in AEW. I think there's more to come from him, shall we say. But Carl Anderson did pick up everyone's stun gun, and Carl Anderson is one of the best veterans there is. There's not much he can't do in the ring. He's seen and done it all for so long and continues to shine very, very well. And he did pick up the win in this one with the stun gun, like I said. But it was a good showing for Willie Yuta, to be fair. He did get some good offense in, and he's got potential to, I think, go further in AEW if he wanted to, because, there's not much the man can't do, because I've seen wrestle for so many matches, and he's just so good at pretty much everything in professional wrestling. Like I said, he is a hybrid wrestler, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, if you hear clanging in the background, that's the church bells over there. But anyway, thumbs up to both men in this matchup. So there we go. Hold on. Next matchup was a trios match. It was Brock Anderson, Lee Johnson, and Dustin Rhodes versus Adrian Alanis, Liam Gray, and Justin Carino. Now, this was Brock Anderson's second ever match. Brock Anderson is the son of legendary Fourth Horseman Arn Anderson, and the resemblance to how Arn Anderson looks at Brock's age in his career is uncanny. It's spooky. No other way to say it. But this was actually a good trios match, to be fair. And I enjoyed from everybody in this match what they did. And the good thing is about AEW Dark Elevation and AEW Dark is they do give the other opponents outside a chance to do some things. And Alanis, Gray, and Carino did that in this one. And they showed some real good promise in this one, but the night did belong to Lee Johnson, Dustin Rhodes, and Brock Anderson. And you know what? Brock Anderson doesn't look like he's out of place in the ring, even though it's his second ever match. He's an Anderson. I think it's in his blood. It's going to be some of his father's wrestling style in that sense. And it was. Working a body part like Arn Anderson did. The Anderson stomp. Also a spine buster now and then. Didn't quite see that from Brock in this one, but you know what? I'm sure it'll be along at some point. But it was great to see him tagging with Dustin Rhodes and Lee Johnson, and of course, Lee Johnson, a protege of the Nightmare Factory, which Dustin Rhodes is training at. Not too sure if Brock Anderson is training there, but that aside, this was actually a good trios match from both teams. Both showed some good tag team wrestling in terms of trios matches, obviously keeping the man in someone else's corner, working on them. And they actually did everything right here. There was not much that was wrong in this match. And that's the kind of thing I'd like to see, especially with someone like Brock, who's only ever had 2 matches. This is his second match ever. So, you know what? I think there's more to come from him, obviously, because it's in his blood for obvious reasons. But all 6 men did show very, very good stuff here, and I enjoyed it. I really did. So this was a good matchup. So definite thumbs up to all 6 men for this one. I enjoyed it a great deal. So always good to see that. Next match was a tag match. It was the Acclaim versus PB Smooth and Matt Justice. And I've said it before, I love the Acclaimed. It's no other way to say it. And they're starting to get a bit more of a face reaction these days, even though they've always been heelish in their actions, because obviously Max Caster puts a freestyle on before every single matchup on his opponents or on other things. Did it here, but it wasn't exactly as crazy as it has been in the past, shall we say. But you know what? Nothing wrong with that. And it was a quick but fun matchup, and the Acclaim showed what the Acclaim were all about. And there were one or two shenanigans from them in this matchup, obviously with the boombox. But you know what? They didn't stop the crowd getting behind it, which is unusual to see. But I think it's because the Acclaimed are so entertaining. Also, as a thrown together tag team as they were in AEW, it's just been so much fun to watch, and I really enjoyed this one. And it was a fun, short matchup with the Acclaim picking up the win with the mic drop. So, it was good to see. So, well done, the Acclaim, for winning this one. And the next matchup was honestly one of my matches of the night. Rhea versus Catalina King. And this was the first match back in a while for Rhea. Obviously, of course, a former AEW Women's Champion and honestly one of the very best women wrestlers in AEW against Catalina King, who's had a very, very, very good 2021. It's done show a lot of promise and is starting to be on the rise. And she's been great as of late. And this was honestly a fantastic back and forth women's matchup in the AEW Women's Division. And first time, I'm not sure if it's the first time these two have ever met in a ring before, but they have. I don't remember it, to be honest. But with the way that Catalina King has been going, there was no better time to face a former champion and seriously one of the hardest working wrestlers in Riho. And I thought this was just such a good showcase for Women's Division. This is what it's all about. And I really couldn't help but just be amazed by the back and forth action between these two. Rio, obviously, only 98 pounds, but yeah, she's got so much perseverance, so much heart. And she makes her lack of size work in every match she is part of. And this was definitely no different because Catalina King is one of the biggest competitors in the Women's Division. So, apart from Nyla Rose and Jade Cargill, I think she might be the biggest competitor in the AEW Women's Division. But, as I said, you really couldn't fault this matchup. This was a really, really good matchup. And I thought this possibly is a showcase for Catalina King. And this is one of her best performances in AEW to date. And that's saying so because she's had some very good ones this year. But Riho did pick up the win with a double knee. And it was just a superb matchup. And this was really good stuff. So this is honestly what the women's division is all about in AEW. When you put two wrestlers like this together, you are going to get good stuff. You definitely got it here. So definite thumbs up to both ladies for producing an absolutely superb match. Great, great stuff. And next match was the Varsity Blondes versus Aaron Rook and Jake Logan. Now, of course, a big night today, actually, because it's AEW Dynamite today, the 30th of June. And, you know, Brian Pillman Jr. has a shot at the AEW TNT title against Miro. So for him to pick up the win in this matchup in quick succession, along with Griff Garrison and the Varsity Blondes, was the right call. And the ball is in, shall we say, Brian Pillman's court, shall we say. He's been really, really more vocal lately because there was a episode of Dark Side of the Ring which featured his father recently, and since then there's been a bit more spotlight on his son, Brian Pillman Jr. And not before time, because I think Brian Pillman Jr. is a superb worker. He's a chip off the old block in terms of what his dad could do in the ring. And it shows here, but him tagging with Griff Garrison, it's been great to watch. And I said the most babyface tag team in all of AEW, I think. But this was a fun, short matchup. And the unique finisher to this matchup was a very unique clothesline from Brian Pillman Jr. And they're doing things a bit differently these days. And it showed here, so nothing wrong with that, but they picked up a win, so I can't fault that. Thumbs up. And the next matchup was Thunder Rosa versus Catalina Perez. And Thunder Rosa has had an incredible 2021 herself. I think this has been one of the best years of her career to date. And I've seen her wrestle for quite a while now. And this was a great matchup. Even though it was very short, she did pick up the win. The Peruvian Cavalera choke, which is very unique. I've never seen anybody use that submission before. So she picked up win in very quick fashion, and she continues the momentum which she's had in 2021. So I can't fault that at all. So thumbs up to that. Thumbs up to this matchup. And the next matchup, sorry, my apologies. The next matchup was The Blade versus Chuck Taylor, and a rare singles outing from the Blade, because obviously he's always been in a tag team with the Butcher, who's unfortunately on the sidelines with injury, and I know he'll be back soon because I really like them as a tag team. Against Chuck Taylor, whose regular tag team partner Trent is also on the sidelines with, who recently had neck fusion surgery, and from what I've heard, it was a very successful surgery, so that's good. But obviously Chuck Taylor does have Orange Cassidy and Chris Taylor as part of the best friends in his corps, shall we say. But this was actually a good matchup, and the Blade winning was the right call, I think, because I've enjoyed what the Blade's been doing as of late in AEW. He was in a matchup in AEW Dark, which we'll get to in another episode. And Chuck Taylor, I've said it before and I'll say again, one of the most reliable wrestlers in AEW, and seems a veteran by this point. There's not much he hasn't done in wrestling, and it's still great to watch. And him versus the Blade just clicked very, very well. And I'm not sure I've ever seen these two in a singles match before, to be completely honest with you. That being said, it was a good singles matchup, and hard hitting as you'd expect, Bunny interfering as you'd expect, and I think this is the start of a possible feud between the Best Friends and the Hardy Family Office. I wouldn't mind seeing that, to be honest, because the Hardy Family Office has had a feud with quite a few people, including the Dark Order. But this was a good singles matchup for these two, actually. And I enjoyed it. So I really enjoyed it. And this was a good singles matchup and a good showing from both men. And I think Blade winning was the right call, like I said. So I had to do that. My apologies. But no, thumbs up to both men in this matchup for producing a good contest. So can't fault that. This matchup was a trios matchup. It was Private Party and Matt Hardy versus Alex Reynolds, and 5 Angels, and Colt Cabana. Now, this has been, again, this is obviously a feud that has been going on for some time. The Hardy Family Office and the Dark Order. And, the good thing is about this, it's a feud that can go on for some time because of both factions having multiple members. Tongue-tied myself yet again, but I'll carry on. And, it's good to see, it continuing in this fashion. And it was a good matchup, to be fair. And then pick up the Matt Hardy, Alex Reynolds, HFO is easier. Picking up a win in very quick fashion with the Gin and Juice from Private Party was out of nowhere, but in a good way. And that was a good ending to what was honestly a very good trios match from both teams. The good, hard-hitting offense and animosity between the two factions is definitely evident here. And it was a good trios match, and good to see Private Party and Hardy teaming, because you don't see that very often, to be honest, in AEW. But you saw it here, and I was all for it. I wouldn't mind seeing it again, but obviously, no matter what combination of the Dark Order you put together, you're going to get entertainment. And the Dark Order are just great. But they showed some very good stuff in this matchup, and I enjoyed this one. It was a very good trios matchup, so definitely a thumbs up to that. And this matchup was Hikara Shida versus Ruka Sahaka, and of course, Shida, another former AEW Women's Champion, returning on this one. And this was actually a decent matchup, to be fair. It wasn't as long as Rhea versus Kylan King, but it was a hard-hitting affair, and it was a very cultural style of matches because Rika Sahaka has Samoan blood in her. She used a hard-hitting headbutt on Hikara Shida, but of course Hikara Shida has got such a great martial arts background and a great wrestling background. And she combined the two very well here, and she did win with the katana. But it was a fun, short matchup, to be fair, and it was a good culture clash between these two. And you don't see that very often with Samoa and Japan. So, kind of interesting to see that. And I wouldn't mind seeing more of that in AEW, because you don't really see it in any other sense. But then, there aren't that many other cultured wrestlers, shall we say, in AEW, like Samoa. One or two Indian wrestlers that I do know, but again, this was a very unique way to kind of showcase that. Even if it wasn't the longest matchup, it was a fun matchup. So I can't fault that. But Hikara Shida is probably one of the best women wrestlers in the world, if not the best women wrestler in the world right now, because of just how talented she is. And her getting the win here was the right call. So can't fault that. So thumbs up to both ladies for this one. And it came to the main event, and honestly, my match of the night, Eddie Kingston and it was Sierra Miro versus the hybrid to Jack Evans and Angelico. And I saw this one announced, I thought, oh, this is going to be good. And it was very, very good. And when you've got, Eddie Kingston, such an long season veteran locker room leader, against one of my very favourites, Pensa, against two incredible wrestlers in Jack Evans and Angelico, the sparks are going to fly. Hard hitting wrestling is going to happen. High flying wrestling is going to happen. Submission wrestling is going to happen. Smash mouth wrestling is going to happen. And it all happened. And more. The tag team wrestling in this matchup was superb. Both teams were both really, really good. And this was a very worthy main event to top off what was a good episode of AEW Dark Elevation. I've got to give credit where it's due. Eddie Kingston tagging with Pensa is like old times. As I said, they're long, long time friends. And of course, Pensa's brother Ray Phoenix is on the sidelines of injury right now, which is unfortunate. That being said, him tagging with Eddie Kingston just works. Obviously, John Moxley is not around right now because obviously he's become a first-time father with some, of course, chance to step into that. And I will say this now, I haven't said it officially. Congratulations to John Moxley. My apologies. Wait, is he? Is he? Okay, I'm not sure if he has had his child yet. I could have sworn he had. But anyway, I shall move past that. Anyway, but no, this as tag matches go, this was very, very good. And I think the first ever time meeting between these two teams, I want to see it again. I really do, because I thought the chemistry between all four of these men was off the charts. And Jack Evans and Angelico, this is probably one of the best performances to date, and they've had some incredible performances in the past in AEW as well. But this one was very, very good. And Penta picking up the win with the Fear Factor was definitely the right way to end this matchup, and what a matchup it was. This was probably one of the best tag matches in AEW Dark Elevation history. And that's saying something, there's been some good ones. But this was a good contest between two superb tag teams, and a good way to end the episode. And on that positive note, I will end the review here. So thank you all so much for watching. I will see you all next time. But until that time, take care.